When clients come to me wanting to figure out how they can scale their business to the next level while doing less, it's usually one of three problems that they have. They either need help getting more clients, they're at capacity and need help delegating so they can bring on more clients, or they are bringing in a lot of money each month, but just as much as leaving out, so they need help figuring out how they can take home more. I am Shanice Miller, and welcome to my podcast, Do Less. Yes, that's right, do less. It used to be cool to work 60 hours a week, but the world has gotten smarter and realized why spend more time to make the same or less money. I help small business owners build systems and processes to help them scale and find more time for themselves and their families. I'm going to provide you the best practices and all the tools and tips to scale your business. Welcome to my show. So, Sarah, what is the problem that you're having with growing your business?
The second one. So pretty much at capacity and needing to, well, not only needing to, but really wanting to bring on additional coaches and consultants. That was the idea when I started my business. And I'm at that pivotal point, but it's a challenge to make that switch. So
What's so challenging about making the switch?
I think mostly I have two concerns. One side is I'm based in California, and in my own head, when you're a business owner, sometimes it's your brain like in a board meeting with itself. And on one side of the table, it's like, okay, you should really hire employees. That's better for growth. That's better for control and making sure that the Firm Focus brand is always present in the way, not just the chef, but the ingredients and the way I do my coaching and consulting. But independent contractors are often easier to hire within your business. And so I have that dilemma going on where I keep going back and forth on which direction I want to go for scaling the business. And then the second side is I'm pretty good, I think, about relinquishing control. I'm good about delegating to the team I do have, but there is still that control, and this is my baby and this is my business and I want it to grow. That's the vision I always had. But then now that I'm really faced with that possibility, I struggle with letting go of the clients I love, and not necessarily the ones I have now. I would probably keep as my clients, but any new one to come in the door, it is a struggle to say, okay, I am really ready to say, you're going to work with coach, fill in the name. So I think it's a control thing, and I'm aware of that and trying to overcome that hurdle.
Wow, that's big, and that's very self-reflective to kind of realize like, okay, I do have this control issue, because a lot of times we're like, that's not a control issue.
Yeah.
With this control issue, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's funny because I coach on productivity and time management with lawyers and on a one-on-one basis. And in the coaching and consulting side of things, it's really easy for me to identify that that's a big struggle for lawyers. Control is definitely a big struggle. And I have successfully helped clients break that down a little bit. And it's also delegation becomes a time management issue too. It's control, but it's also being organized and knowing time management. So if someone is looking ahead to next week and seeing that they have a big brief due and they can get someone's help now, I'm kind of answering your question in a long way. I think I'm going to get back to your question. Feelings are really hard for lawyers, by the way. We talked about, and I am not a lawyer, I'll be very clear, but I worked in law for many years before I started my business. So when you say feeling, I'm like, no, let me just talk about like what I'm thinking of cognitively, because that's going to make way more sense. And then maybe I'll bring it back to feelings. But to get back to that, so I coach on this a lot, and I can see the gaps and help people through it. And as you pointed out, I think I am pretty aware, and I feel like I've actually worked really hard to not be such a control freak, but what it makes me feel is that I'm just holding myself back in this situation, that there is an opportunity, there's a need out there to help more lawyers with one-on-one productivity coaching. And there's only so much I can do as the coach in the business. It really is doing a disservice to other people out there if I don't bring on other coaches that can also help lawyers with time management, organization, project management, attention management. So yeah, I think that's the way I'm feeling.
Well, let's say, if you didn't do anything to change this, how would you feel then? You stayed in control. You stayed being the bottleneck. We call it the chief bottleneck officer, the CBO.
Yeah.
So part of that C-suite, how would you feel if, your business kept going on like this and you're at capacity, you can't grow, but you want to keep that control over it?
Well, I think it would eventually lead to burnout. I'm fairly good I do track. I know what the capacity is of what I personally can take on for coaching clients. And before I realize that I'm starting to experience burnout. And when I'm coaching, I am coaching my clients on a weekly basis with one independent study session built into each month. But it is each week that I am meeting with my clients, and I know what my maximum is, and I keep track of it. Not just, I have a spreadsheet where I look ahead to when maybe a client's contract is anticipated to end, but then they always have that option of rolling into month to month, and often my clients do. And so there's still a uncertainty if that's the exact end date, but I can look ahead and I can see that, okay, so at this present moment, where I'm at in terms of my own maximum capacity for taking on clients and delivering value to them before I feel like I've taken on too much, I can look ahead and say, okay, the next time I can take on a client is 5 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now. And I'm pretty good about that. And I will communicate to people, I have a waiting list. We're looking at 5 weeks from now, and then I'll be able to onboard you. But if we want to start the process now, you'll be first in line. But there are times where I slip up. I get excited in that one call and I really want to help this one person. And so I break my own rules and I take them on. And then now I've breached my own maximum capacity, which isn't fair for me. It's not fair for the clients that I take on. And so by relinquishing control, it would feel good to know that I have these options, that there is another coach or other coaches that they can work with under my firm focus team. So, and I will say, Shanice, that it's funny because this is the first time I'm going to say it publicly. I've started to write a book. I've always wanted to write a book, and I thought, no, my kids are too young. I'm going to wait. And then I got this like total burst of motivation of exactly what the book needed to be. And I started writing it, and now I'm consistently working on it. I don't know when it'll be published because I don't want to put that pressure on myself right now. I want to enjoy the art of writing it, but maybe 2024. But in writing the book, essentially it's about creating confidence. And that confidence is not a feeling that you're going to get and then do something. Confidence is the result of taking uncomfortable steps to then gain confidence on something that you're going to do. And even it's had me reflect a little bit on this whole growth thing, because this has been something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. I knew it was in the distant future when I first thought of it. Now it seems to be more of the present moment. And at times I'm down on myself. Like, why are you not just doing the things you need to do to grow? And then I realized I actually am doing the things I need to do to grow. I'm having the conversations with people to gain data and information about which of those two options I want to do, independent contractors versus hiring coaches. I have done a big step in transferring pretty, rock, paper, scissor form of managing my contacts and leads to a database that I can manage. So I'm doing steps to make that change too, so that when I'm ready to bring on another human being onto my team that can help with the coaching, I've already done a lot of the steps to get me there. So I recognize that, like, while I haven't made what I think is like that biggest leap that I need to make.
It is, because sometimes I see myself doing like all the small things all around it, just to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm doing all the things, but I'm not doing
I'm
that thing
avoiding.
that's really, yes, you're really
Yeah.
avoiding trying to do the thing that's really what you need to do by doing
Yeah.
all the little things. Like, yeah, I have this, all these people's resumes, stack of resumes in my office and background. So what's preventing you from really doing, or well, I'll say first, when do you think you're going to be ready to hire?
I Oh man, see, you're bringing the one thing I'm avoiding up to the surface. I really think, I mean, it will be this year. It will be this year. It needs to be this year. I am probably looking at September, October of this year.
Okay. And why haven't you done it before September, October? Why is that the time to do it?
Why is that the time to do it? Well, I want to find the right fit. So I am still, and I actually think I know exactly what route I'm going to take in terms of legally how I'm hiring that person. So I'm already doing those steps for getting the contracts in place to set up that situation to, protect the company and me, and working, of course, working with a lawyer for that, because that's why we have lawyers, because they are fully capable and they understand the law and they can draft the contract in a way that will help both parties, of course, but ultimately protect the business and then protect the coach as well that I bring on. Interviewing coaches that I think would be a good fit for the firm. In fact, I'm going to be bringing one of them in for one of my group sessions to just see how my existing clients react to this particular coach, to make sure that she's a good fit for helping me grow the firm. So I'm doing the steps. I am doing the steps to go to the unavoidable. I mean, I'm not yet
Okay. It's that creep, like, oh, let
yes,
me,
it
and that's
is.
exactly, we do that as well with some of our clients that have that same control issue. It's like,
Yeah.
well, let us start taking off some of these minute tasks and show you how it works. So then we can ease you in and you can feel more comfortable with letting go of the bigger things once you realize that the smaller things are okay to let go of. So it is
Yeah.
like, taking those baby steps, working with the person, having them realize like it doesn't have to just be all in one.
Yeah.
I know earlier you talked about coaching other clients on this exact thing, getting past that control issue. What are the solutions that you provide them, or some of the advice that you would tell them?
Yeah. Great. So one thing I developed, one of my programs, I call it Learn to Do More by Doing Less. And that is a delegation training or presentation that I do for firms. And within it, I love acronyms, by the way. I have our email system, but for this particular program, my acronym is TORQ. So effective delegation requires torque. And I want to make one very clear distinction right now. I think of delegation as sort of two sides. So we have the human to human delegation, which of course occurs in firms. And then you have what is really called automation, but that is also delegation. So that's where like systems like Calendly, Acuity can help you with scheduling rather than maybe your assistant doing it. Or your assistant can still do it, but it definitely eases the process. Of course, what you do, Shanice, with the Taskly group is very much automation, processes, system, helping people set that up. So the TORQ method that I talk about in this program is really about that human to human interaction. And I'll just say what the TORQ stands for. So it's trust and respect is the T, being organized is the O, repetition is the R, quality of work is the Q, understanding is the U, and E is eliminate control. So I tell a story, I build the layers of effective delegation in the TORQ method, that the trust and respect really has to be a two-way street. And I think the old school way of thinking in law firms was it trickled down, right? So partner gives an assignment down to someone beneath him, and there's an expectation that the deliverable will be on time, it will be a good quality of work, that it will really, the trust or the respect goes up the ladder and not necessarily down. But I think as we've evolved, and certainly as like millennials have entered the workforce, there is this expectation that it actually goes both directions. And that's what really creates better delegation system amongst people in a firm, because that trust and respect, like what I see often is if I'm just going to use the same example that I just said, but if a partner gives an associate, for an example, an assignment with a due date, doesn't give much direction, is not available for questions, doesn't trust or respect this associate, then what you're going to see, the behavior from that associate, is procrastination, it's analysis paralysis, it's not responding to emails or instant messages, because it's just human reaction. That associate knows I'm going to fail no matter what. This partner is never happy with my work. I can't read their mind. I don't know exactly what they're expecting out of me. I've researched as much as I possibly can on this issue, and the answer I'm finding is not what the partner wants me to find. I've seen all of these. And so what they end up doing in some situations is they don't produce the work. I didn't have the time. I haven't gotten to it yet.
True. And I see that all the time, where it's like someone gives someone something or so many things that now it's overwhelming. It's, too much to deal with. Sometimes I'll see people say like, oh, I hired this person at this level, so they should just know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, you still need to provide instructions. And that's what I think is the biggest thing that people have to get their head around when they are going to delegate or even automate. Like, what exactly are you wanting to hire this person for? What is your clear plan? What's that plan of action? What are the tasks that person's supposed to be taking off of your shoulders? So with all that said, where do you see your business going if you're, when you're able to expand, when you're able to give up that control and hire that new employee? What's expanding the business going to help you to do?
Yeah. So I'll answer by saying right now my offerings are basically 3 pillars. So I talked a lot about the coaching. It's one-on-one and small team coaching, productivity, time, project, task, attention, and email management. So that's in the coaching lane. I also do a lot of speaking and trainings. So I'm proud to say that map behind me is actually the states that I have stepped into and spoken in, and I'm trying to fill that map within 10 years. But I do a lot of in-person or virtual trainings on various topics. They're all on my website under the speaking tab if anyone is interested in which topics. And then I also have our email system that I created, which is behavioral change on how to manage your inbox. Mm-hmm. So with that explanation of my offerings, the speaking, I will probably do my speaking by myself because I love it. I really get energized being in front of a room and helping a room of people with whatever productivity topic we're on. Our email side, I already have brought on others that will do my one-on-one trainings for Gmail. I handle the Outlook side for now, but I will train coaches to be ART certified to also do the one-on-one Outlook training so that I'll never step away from it. I actually am very, very passionate about Inbox Zen. Not Inbox Zero, but Inbox Zen.
The CBO is creeping back in, that chief bottleneck officer. I hear the hands going back. Oh, I'm not going to stop speaking. I'm not going to get out of this one.
Okay. So you called me out, girl. Okay. No, but our art, I am letting go of a lot of that, but I will always keep, oh my gosh, you're so right though. You are so right. The CBO is coming in. The Gmail side, I'm letting go of. Eventually the Outlook side, and I will always oversee it because I'm super passionate about it, but I don't need to be the one doing the trainings anymore. And I'm ready for that change now. Okay. And then the coaching side, that's where by September, October of this year, I will have other coaches brought on so that I really, really want to help more and more lawyers. And I don't just work with lawyers. I also have a lot of people in the finance sector, CPAs. It's not just lawyers. So I want to bring on more coaches that can help more people, because there is a way where you can know what you're going to work on each day, prioritize effectively, reduce the procrastination or mitigate the distractions and interruptions, and actually know at the end of the day, you can shut down that computer and not feel like there's always like something pulling you back, because there's always going to be work to do. That's the beautiful thing about what it is we do. That's a wonderful problem to have. to always have work to do. So you really have to learn the skills to prioritize and then focus and reduce procrastination, distractions, and interruptions, and be okay with what you are not working on right now.
Okay, I love that. And that actually goes right in alignment with, I was going to ask you, if you had to only focus on one of those three things that you do, which would it be?
All of them. Okay.
Because that's our do less faction. We're just like, what is that main offering that is generating the bulk of your income, that is, still giving you that satisfaction? What is that one thing that we can really focus on to propel it? And everything else can be your side project, your side baby, if you want to.
Yeah. Well, I think the obvious answer is the speaking. I started there for a reason. And I don't think I ever envisioned the firm focus trainings and presentations to be a different speaker than me. Okay. Whereas I do think I always envisioned other coaches supporting the firm focus brand and helping my clients as well as art. So I think that's the obvious answer.
And with the speaking, you don't have to worry about that control issue. You don't have to worry about delegating to anyone. So this
except for I do delegate when I'm doing presentation. I find if I'm typing the word Canva into my browser, I pause and say, why is my lovely assistant Julie? Why is Julie not doing this?
Yeah.
I don't have time to be in Canva playing around. So I pass it on to Julie.
Well, those are the small delegations that we're okay with. Not the coaching delegation. That's the huge one that we're just like, oh, I'm still afraid to let go of my baby.
Yes.
So Sarah, I have deeply enjoyed this. Thank you for being so open and honest.
Sure.
Please let us know how we can reach out to you if we want to talk to you more and hire you.
Absolutely. So Sarah, Sarah, at firm-focus.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Sarah Tetlow, Tetlow, and would happy to connect either method. So
this has been an amazing episode of Do Less with me, Shanice Miller. Share this episode with anyone who needs to hear this today. Leave a 5-star rating and review. And remember, if you're an entrepreneur and you need to do less in your business, click the link in the description to work with me.